Alright, SlimmBob here. Time for another review. And this time, a film. And I rarely do old films. Well, if you call early 90s old, then it's an old film. But, you know. But yeah, this film, it's like considered one of the best Disney films ever. And I wouldn't have ever thought about reviewing this, but they just re-released it, like in 3D, in pictures, and it's The Lion King. Yeah, Lion King's just been released in 3D. Well, at least it has over here. I think it got released about a month ago in America. Running low. But yeah, they get everything right early, don't they? Like, bloody Super 8. That was one of them films, like, I saw that and I really liked it. I haven't fucking reviewed that, have I? I'll wait for DVD, I don't review that, but like, that was one of them. It was so hyped, like, overseas, I couldn't wait for it, and no one else had heard of it. I'm the only person I knew who'd even heard of Super 8. And I rate, yeah, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about Lion King. And yeah, obviously I was born in 91. Lion King was a very predominant part of my childhood. It was a very huge film. That and Aladdin were very huge for my childhood. Aladdin more, I would say. I still prefer Aladdin, I think. Even though, like, Lion King's more well made, I think Aladdin is more fun, if you know what I mean. Like, Lion King, I must say, I watched it in pictures. It's fucking right depressing. It is. I was like really depressed through a lot of it. Like that. I mean, obviously that way Mufasa dies, but jeez, there's loads of little bits, really subtle bits that are depressing as shit. But it gets away with it, and I think obviously Lion King. I ain't said obviously Lion King. To me, it's one of the best animated films ever. Like, easily. It's just such a beautiful film. It's so many hidden parts to it, so many subtleties, and it can appeal to, like, any age as well, and it's timeless. The animation's beautiful as well. It's a perfect film, Lion King. It's beautiful. And do you know what, as well, I would like to say, it's one of the best cinematic experiences I've ever had, like watching it now as an adult, because all that nostalgia. I mean, I actually cried a bit, you know, when opening came up with Sunrise and all animals going to Pride Rock. It actually brought a tear to my eye, because it reminded me of all that good times I've had as a kid, and I seem to associate that with that opening. And it's a brilliant film, Lion King. Yeah, I think animated films these days, I don't think they have that kind of impact. The only film recently, animated film I can say recently, that actually really got to me was Toy Story 3. I think a lot of them now, they seem to be, I think DreamWorks hasn't helped this at all, but a lot of animated films these days are focusing more on the laughs. They're focusing more on the comedy. I think stuff like, you know, like Lion King, it's a fucking drama. It's a serious drama. It really is. It's like, there's so many hidden bits, so much subtlety, you know, in performances. You know, like Scar, right? He's a likeable villain. You can see where he's coming from and everything. You can relate to him. I think that's what kind of separates it. I mean, I've seen some crap. I mean, last really crap one that I didn't like was Despicable Me. That really wound me up, that film, because it weren't funny. Like, a lot of DreamWorks films aren't funny, and they rely on their kind of comedy it's dumb comedy. It's not clever. It can't relate to all these different age groups. I mean, that with Scar, like, that bit where he's talking to Simba when he's a kid. Simba wants to go into the elephant graveyard, doesn't he? Right? Well, yeah, what does Simba say now? He says, like, well, now I'm king, what are you going to do? No, what does that make you? And then he says, a monkey's uncle. And it's like, you know what I mean? As a kid, I didn't understand that joke. I didn't understand that he was referring to Simba as a monkey. I just thought he was funny because he said monkey. You know what I mean? Simba, he's a kid at that time. He doesn't understand it. So it's like, to me, that is fantastic writing. That is sensational. It's just the way they recognise, the writers recognise that the kid wouldn't understand that. And it's such an ingenious moment. That, I just, wow. It's so well written, Lion King. And the songs as well. Songs are really memorable. Set pieces during the songs, really over the top, brilliant. They're just beautiful to look at. I think that's the thing. I mean, like, you know that bit where Simba first goes to Timon and Pumbaa's home? You know, it looks like Pandora, doesn't it? Like, that same beauty, giving me that same... I think that's why I like Avatar, actually, because Lion King's one of my favourite films. I'd never actually looked at it like that. Like, I remember as a kid, you know, with Lion King, that place, I'd always wanted to visit somewhere like that. So I think when Avatar came out, that appealed to me as well, just seeing that kind of imagery again. But, alright, top and bottom of it, I don't want to talk about it much. It's Lion King, right? It's just a great film. It's a great family film. And although I do feel bad, do you know when Mufasa died? There were a lot of kids in the audience, which I was surprised at. I thought it'd be all, like, nostalgic adults that would see it, but there were a lot of kids in the audience, and there were this right little babby that cried right on back row, and I was there. I went with my brother and my mate Mike. We all laughed. I feel terrible, but we laughed when this kid cried, and the thing is, I was kind of tearing up as well, but I feel very bad for it. I'm sorry, whoever that were. I'm very sorry. Because I have cried a few times at that bit. And that's the thing. I don't think they'd make films like that these days. Because he has some very serious drama in it. And as a kid, that's the thing. Films these days, I don't think they treat kids with respect. 'Cause as a kid, I could handle that drama. My brother had a right good point, actually. Because he said, like, the reason we could handle that as a kid was because we'd not experienced loss, if you know what I mean. Like me, to me, I found it more emotional now than when I was a kid. And I think that's because, obviously, like, you know, family members dying, pets dying and things like that. So I understand the loss more. And I think that's what I mean. That film resonates on different wavelengths to different audiences. And it brings all these different audiences together. And in a way that animated films these days don't do. Even Toy Story 3, I mean, that is not a kids' film. I don't think kids would really enjoy that as much as, you know, Cars or Incredibles or something like that. I think Toy Story 3 was tailored for the people that grew up with Toy Story. The Lion King, I think that is just built for everyone. I think it's a timeless film. It's one it's going to stand test of time. It looks a lot prettier than a lot of these CGI movies these days. They need to make more films like that. They really do. I mean, only recent ones, Princess and the Frog. I ain't seen that yet, by the way, but I heard it were good. I heard songs were good. But I ain't got round to it. But, yeah, Lion King, it's obviously 5 stars. It's a sensational film. It's one of the best animated films ever. It's maybe a bit too hard. You know what I mean? If you're looking for a fun time, it's still a really fun time. It's just, for them films of that time, I would say, if you want a more fun time, I'd pick Aladdin. But as a film that's going to stick in your mind, it's so good. It's just such a great film to look at. It's got brilliant characters. I mean, that's the characters. You don't get characters like that, as deep as that, in films these days, you know, in animated films these days. It just doesn't happen, and Lion King achieves that. So yeah, 5 stars easily. The 3D, if you're going to see it in pictures, I wouldn't bother with 3D, because it's negligible. You don't even see 3D. There were only one scene where I actually noticed the 3D. I mean, literally, you know, like first hour, I was actually looking at the screen thinking, where is this 3D? I couldn't fucking see it at all. I mean, I bet I could have took glasses off and there'd have been no difference. But do you know the scene where Rafiki tells Simba to follow him, you know, and he's saying, Mufasa's alive, follow me, you know that, and he's going through woods, kind of like in, you know, in Snow White, where she goes through the thorns and stuff. Well, he goes through woods, that's the only point you see the 3D, because you see all these different layers of trees while he's running, but it really is, you don't need to see it in 3D, and you can see it in 2D, I've seen, there are showings in 2D, so, yeah, and even if you'd not seen it in years, even if you weren't, like, even if you weren't big on it, you know, in 90s, I'd definitely go and see it, because it's in the cinema with that great sound system. Just to see it in pictures, there's something about it, it's magical, and this, you know, it's a great opportunity to see that. I think even over everything that's come out recently, everything that's out now, I would say go and see Lion King. Even though it's a right old film, go and see it because it's a sensational film. It brings tingles back, it brings back, and even your kid, if you have kids, don't show them this shoveled crap that's out these days. Show them Lion King because it treats its audience with respect and love, and it's a great film. So that's all there is to it. It's fucking Lion King. This is SlimmBob, thanks for watching, and goodbye.